The chamber of the Valari High Council was designed to intimidate. Black pillars stretched into the vaulted ceiling, carved with reliefs of conquests stretching back centuries. Alien banners rippled in the artificial breeze, displaying the golden sigil of the Valari Empire, a clawed fist closing around a star. Rows of delegates from allied species filled the observation tiers, their jeweled eyes fixed on the small human delegation at the center floor. To most of the galaxy, Earth was a novelty, a new world barely 2 generations into interstellar travel, tolerated but never respected. Humans were known as traders, scholars, colonists, never warriors. That reputation made the invitation to Krylon Prime a trap, and everyone knew it. Ambassador Jonas Merrill stood stiff, his diplomatic robes a pale contrast against the obsidian surroundings. Beside him, silent and steady, Captain Elias Cade kept watch. He wore no ornaments, only a dark uniform with Earth's crest over the chest. His presence was meant to project strength, though in this hall of towering aliens and armored guards, it seemed more symbolic than practical. A deep drumbeat echoed through the chamber. The great doors opened, and General Vaynard Diar entered, flanked by armored guards with halberds that hummed with energy. Diar's armor gleamed silver-black, a mixture of ceremonial grandeur and battlefield scars. His presence filled the hall before he spoke a word. He did not address the council first. His amber eyes went straight to the humans, and a slow smile cut across his face. "Earth has sent its lambs," Diar said, his voice magnified by the chamber acoustics. "Tiny, soft things who think words can shield them." Laughter rippled through the assembly. The sound was sharp, mocking, carrying the weight of centuries of superiority. Ambassador Merrill raised his chin, trying to match dignity with firmness. "The Terran Confederation comes here to negotiate peace, not to posture. We seek fair standing, not conquest." "Peace?" Diar laughed, a booming sound that echoed off the stone walls. He spread his arms, gesturing to the silent banners. "Peace is the language of cowards. When the Valari rose, we did not beg for recognition. We took it." Another wave of laughter rolled through the alien delegates. Merrill's words faltered under the noise, drowned by the chorus of disdain. His hands trembled slightly, hidden within his sleeves. Cade's eyes swept the chamber. His face betrayed nothing, but tension coiled through his shoulders. He had been in ambush zones before, surrounded, waiting for the moment when mockery turned to violence. This was no different. Diar's gaze sharpened, savoring the human's discomfort. "Your kind hides behind treaties and councils because you lack the steel for war. Admit it. You are cowards, vermin clinging to scraps." The Valari audience jeered louder, stomping their boots in rhythm, turning insult into spectacle. Merrill tried again, voice raised against the roar. "We are not cowards. Humanity has survived trials you cannot imagine." "No," Diar cut him off with a sneer. "You survive because greater powers allow it. But perhaps—" He paused, letting the silence tighten like a noose. "Perhaps we test this illusion of strength. A trial. Not words. Combat." The chamber quieted, anticipation building. Diar's grin widened. "One of your kind against one of mine. Simple. If you refuse, the council will see the truth. Earth speaks loudly, but its bones are hollow." The statement landed like a blade. Gasps, whispers, mocking laughter swirled among the delegates. Every eye turned to the humans. Ambassador Merrill froze. His mouth closed, opened again. He knew what it meant. If he accepted, his chosen fighter would die quickly, and Earth's shame would be immortalized. If he refused, humanity would be branded cowards forever. The choice was ruin either way. Cade's voice cut through the tension, calm and measured. "I'll fight." The silence was immediate, as though the chamber itself recoiled. Diar blinked, then laughed, long and loud. "You!" He gestured dismissively at Cade's lean frame. "This is your champion? A single soldier in plain cloth?" Cade's eyes held his, steady, unblinking. "You wanted proof. You'll have it." The ambassador turned, stricken. "Captain." Cade's reply was soft, but it carried in the stillness. Better they see us bleed than bow. Meryl faltered, unable to answer. Diar leaned forward, predatory delight in every movement. So be it. Tomorrow, in the grand arena of Krylon Prime, the galaxy will witness a spectacle of the Valari champion against one human soldier. When your body lies broken, the universe will know the truth. The council chamber erupted in thunderous approval. Banners unfurled, the sound of metal striking stone echoing in ritual. Aliens cheered, certain of the outcome. Cade remained unmoving, his expression unreadable. Only his hands, clasped behind his back, tightened slightly. He had stood in killing grounds before, and tomorrow would be no different. The enemy was larger, stronger, arrogant, and that was enough. Diar's grin widened as he turned to leave, already savoring the victory. His voice lingered like venom in the air. Humans are cowards. Tomorrow, all will see it proven. But Cade's answer, spoken low and certain, carried across the chamber and stilled the laughter. No. Tomorrow, all will see that one soldier is enough. The night before the duel was long, though no clock marked the hours inside the Valari citadel. From his chamber, Elias Cade heard the distant rumble of machinery preparing the grand arena. Alien workers shouted orders in guttural tones, steel groaned as massive gates were raised into position, and banners unfurled in the cold wind sweeping through the city's towers. Krylon Prime was celebrating early, convinced the morning would bring nothing more than a ritual slaughter. Cade sat on a narrow bench in a room of black stone, his gear laid neatly before him. A combat knife, its steel edge worn smooth from years of use. A tactical suit woven with flexible fibers, more practical than decorative. Standard-issue boots. That was all. No gleaming armor, no towering weapons, no technological crutches. His kit looked pitiful compared to the monstrous arsenal he knew his opponent would bring. Yet it was enough. He tightened the straps of his suit, running a hand over the familiar seams. Every movement was deliberate, measured, as if anchoring himself in routine. His mind flickered back to old campaigns, ambushes in collapsed cities, knife fights in the dark, days when survival depended not on numbers but on grit. He had been in worse odds before. The door hissed open. Ambassador Merrill entered, his face pale under the harsh lighting. He closed the door quickly, as though shutting out the judgment of the entire empire. "You can't do this," Merrill said without preamble. His voice trembled. "Elias, listen to me. You're one man. They've bred their champions for combat. He'll be larger, stronger, armored with technology you can't hope to match. If you step into that arena, you're finished before you begin." Cade didn't look up immediately. He tested the edge of his knife against his thumb, then set it back on the bench. "If I back out now, it's worse. They'll say humanity talks of pride but hides from consequence. Better I stand and fall than prove them right." Merrill took a step forward, desperation in his eyes. "You don't understand. Our reputation rests on you. If you die in the sand tomorrow, Earth becomes a joke across every system. Every ally we've courted will turn their backs. We cannot afford this gamble." Cade finally looked at him. His expression was calm, steady. "I'm not gambling. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to outmatch him. I need to outthink him." Merrill's hands clenched into fists. "And if you're wrong? Then let them remember that at least one human stood his ground." The ambassador faltered, words drying in his throat. Cade returned to tightening his gear, each motion a dismissal. Merrill lingered, then sighed heavily. "I pray you know what you're doing." He left, the door sliding shut behind him with finality. Moments later, another visitor arrived. Heavy boots struck the floor in deliberate rhythm. The guards outside stepped aside, and General Diar entered with a grin carved deep into his face. 2 armored escorts followed but remained at the door. Diar looked around the chamber, his gaze pausing on the single knife resting on the bench. He chuckled. That is the weapon you bring to face one of mine? A relic of a primitive age. You amuse me, human." Cade rose slowly, standing straight though Diar loomed taller. "You said you wanted proof? I'll give it. The general tilted his head, mock curiosity in his tone. Do you truly believe you can win? Cade met his eyes without hesitation. I don't need to believe. I need to fight. For a moment, Diar studied him, searching for fear and finding none. Then he laughed, the sound filling the chamber. Arrogant to the last. Tomorrow, when you're nothing but a smear on the sand, your people will curse your foolishness. Cade's answer was quiet, but it carried weight. Tomorrow, you'll see that arrogance is the first step to defeat. Diar's smile faltered for a heartbeat before returning. He turned sharply and left, his guards trailing him. The door sealed, leaving silence behind. Cade sat again, drawing a slow breath. His pulse was steady. Fear was there, yes, but fear's sharpened edges when harnessed. He let it settle, like a blade sheathed until the right moment. Hours passed. The rumble of the city never ceased, anticipation thick in the air. From the window slit in his chamber, he glimpsed the glow of floodlights illuminating the arena. Towers surrounded it, broadcasting the spectacle to worlds across the empire. The duel would not be a minor affair. It would be a message, delivered to every corner of the galaxy. At dawn, guards arrived to escort him. The walk through the citadel's corridors was long, echoing with chants from the streets below. Valari's citizens lined the avenues, shouting Diar's name, hurling jeers at the human who dared to stand against their champion. Banners flapped overhead, their designs all promising blood. The gates of the arena loomed ahead, carved with depictions of past victories. Beyond them, the roar of the crowd surged like a storm. Tens of thousands filled the seats, their voices blending into a single, thunderous rhythm. As Cade approached the waiting area, he caught sight of his opponent for the first time. The Valari champion stood on the opposite side of the gate, encased in armor that gleamed under the lights. He was enormous, shoulders broad enough to eclipse the guards beside him. An energy blade pulsed in his grip, paired with a shield etched in glowing runes. His presence radiated violence, a living weapon sculpted for spectacle. The crowd chanted his name, each syllable striking like a drumbeat. The champion raised his blade, basking in their adoration. He looked across the gate at Cade and sneered, as though sizing up prey. Cade offered no response, no visible reaction. He adjusted the strap on his glove, checked the knife at his side, and stood ready. His silence was its own defiance. The gates rumbled, gears grinding as they began to rise. The blinding light of the arena spilled in, and the roar of the spectators swelled to a deafening crescendo. Cade stepped forward into the glare. Alone, unarmored, carrying nothing but resolve. The arena roared like a living beast. Tens of thousands of voices merged into a single thunderous rhythm that shook the ground. Alien banners rippled in the rising heat, shadows flickering across the sand. Towers around the Colosseum amplified every sound, broadcasting the duel across the empire. At the highest tier, General Diar sat upon a throne of obsidian, watching with the certainty of a man who believed victory was already his. The gates locked shut behind Elias Cade. He stood alone on the wide expanse of sand, a single knife strapped to his thigh, his dark suit absorbing the glare of the floodlights. Across the arena, the Valari champion raised his weapon to the crowd, basking in their chants. Armor covered him from neck to shin, plates edged with crackling energy. His blade hummed with lethal power, his shield glowed faintly, a fortress in his hands. He was the embodiment of alien supremacy, towering over the lone human across the field. The referee, a cloaked figure of the council, raised a hand. Silence rippled outward, the anticipation heavier than the heat radiating from the ground. Trial by combat, the figure intoned. Fight until death or submission. A single chime echoed. The duel began. The champion lunged forward immediately, blade sweeping in a wide arc meant to end the fight with one blow. The air itself split with the force of the strike. Cade slipped sideways, the edge passing inches from his chest. The ground cracked where the blade hit, sending up shards of stone. The crowd roared, half in laughter, half in bloodlust. To them, the human's dodge was cowardice, a delay before the inevitable. Diar smirked, leaning back in his throne. Cade circled, eyes locked on the champion, movements precise, conserving energy. He didn't strike back. He measured distance, studied rhythm, waited. The champion charged again, heavier steps shaking the sand. His shield slammed forward, aiming to crush bone. Cade ducked, rolling beneath the blow, dust clinging to his suit. He came up low, knife in hand, and slashed across the alien's thigh. The blade scored metal but failed to pierce. Sparks flew, but no wound followed. The champion laughed, voice booming across the Colosseum. Pathetic! He swung down, forcing Cade to leap back as the energy blade carved a molten line into the sand. The audience jeered, chanting louder. Coward, coward! But Cade's face remained impassive. He breathed slow, steady, each dodge calculated. He wasn't fighting the crowd, or even the alien's strength. He was fighting time, waiting for arrogance to open a door. Minutes stretched. The champion grew bolder, each strike wider, more reckless, convinced the human was incapable of answering. He pressed forward, laughing as Cade retreated. Dust clung to sweat on Cade's brow, muscles burning from constant motion, yet his eyes never wavered. A feint came, shield thrust, blade sweeping from the opposite side. Cade twisted, barely avoiding the strike, but the shield clipped his shoulder. Pain flared white-hot, spinning him sideways. He landed hard, grit scraping his palms. The crowd roared approval, certain the end was near. Diar leaned forward, eyes gleaming. The champion advanced, confident, swinging high for a killing stroke. Cade pushed up fast, rushing inside the arc of the blade. In close quarters, the alien's size became a hindrance. Cade's knife flashed upward, jamming into the joint beneath the champion's arm. Metal shrieked as the edge bit through a seam. The alien bellowed, staggering back, shield lowering instinctively to protect the wound. For the first time, blood slicked the sand. The arena gasped. Diar's smile faltered. The champion roared in fury, swinging wildly, every blow a storm meant to crush. Cade ducked, rolled, slid beneath strikes, each movement a fraction from death. He cut again, ankle, thigh, wrist, seeking weak points. Armor turned most aside, but each strike chipped at arrogance, at certainty. You bleed, Cade said quietly, circling. The champion snarled, voice cracking. You will die screaming! He lunged, faster this time, rage replacing rhythm. Cade sidestepped, letting the blade sink deep into the sand. Before the alien could pull free, Cade drove his knife into the exposed gap at the back of the knee. The joint buckled. The champion crashed down to one side, his shield arm flailing. The crowd erupted in disbelief, half screaming, half silent. Cade didn't hesitate. He vaulted onto the fallen alien, slipping past desperate swings, knife flashing again and again at the seams of armor. Blood sprayed, black and viscous, staining the sand. The champion roared, thrashing, trying to throw him off. A massive hand closed around Cade's side, lifting him and slamming him into the ground. The breath blasted from his lungs, pain shooting up his ribs. The alien staggered upright, limping, blade trembling in his grip. His armor was smeared with blood, movements slower now, but his size and fury still deadly. Cade forced himself up, knife steady despite his shaking arm. He waited, chest heaving, eyes locked on the enemy. The champion screamed, charging one final time, blade raised high. It was reckless, desperate, everything Cade had waited for. He stepped in, twisting low, redirecting the shield with his free hand. The alien's own momentum carried him forward, wide open. Cade's knife plunged upward, through the soft flesh beneath the jaw, driving deep into the brainstem. The alien froze, eyes wide, blade falling from his hand. His body collapsed with a heavy crash, dust billowing around him. Silence swept the arena. Tens of thousands of voices choked into disbelief. Cade stood over the body, chest heaving, blood streaking his suit. He yanked the knife free, holding it at his side. Slowly, he lifted his gaze to Diar's throne. Their eyes met across the distance. The silence shattered, replaced by chaos. Some screamed outrage, others all. Whispers rippled through the council tiers. Humans were not weak, not cowards. One soldier had stood against a giant and prevailed. Diar's face darkened, fury carving lines into his features. His perfect spectacle had become humiliation. Yet he could not deny what every system had just witnessed. Cade wiped the blade against his thigh and sheathed it. Pain lanced through his ribs, his shoulder throbbed, but he remained standing. He raised his voice, steady despite exhaustion. "One soldier is all it takes." The words carried across the arena, amplified not by technology but by conviction. The crowd fell into uneasy silence, the weight of truth undeniable. The Valari banners still flapped overhead, but their meaning had shifted. Humanity had drawn blood in the heart of the Empire and left its mark on history. Cade turned, walking from the sand without looking back at the fallen champion. He didn't need to. The galaxy had seen,